Today, some trotro fares go as high as 20 Ghana cedis.
Right.
That is abnormal in our society.
And that's why the MPP government, Dr. Bawumia, is saying that, well, we've listened to the plight of Ghanaians. We've realized that this is the challenge. And so to mitigate that, specifically cost of transport, we're bringing in some new buses, electric buses, by December. This is not next year, December.
The only way we can reduce cost of living in this country is to vote out the problem of the country. The problem is Alhaji Bawumia, and he doesn't even understand that he's the problem. If he did understand that he were the problem, it would have been better for us, and Ghanaians would have had a soft spot to even listen to him. But at this point, he doesn't understand that he himself is entirely clueless. He doesn't understand that he's entirely visionless. He doesn't understand that he's totally bereft of ideas. And he doesn't even understand that he is the liar, the chief liar of this country. And you cannot run a country with dishonesty, with irresponsibility, and with the state at which they are recklessly, mismanaging everything in the economy. So that panacea, yes, nobody has said the electric corridor is not the way to go. 2 days ago, you saw President Mahama driving an electric car. He was trying it. But people know that when it's got to do with innovation, when it's got to do with prudent management, then it's got to do with President Mahama. But if you want somebody who would say one thing and do another, who would lie, why? Bawumia has a history of saying that he was going to give even Okada riders free cars, and you exchange your motorbike for an Uber. You remember?
The Koda vehicles.
The Koda vehicles. What happened to that policy?
They started with some 200.
They brought about 10 or is it 15 and gave to their youth organizers. No Okada person in this country got a single one. And if you want to bring Okada people into the studio and ask them, he simply lied in 2020. They told us they were going to bring sky trains. You remember? And we see what saddens my heart in that particular policy is that more than $2 million was already paid to the contractor. And at the end of the day, they said that particular policy cannot be implemented. Yet, you have already paid money. So anywhere you hear Alhaji Bawumia mentioning a policy, it means that there's an avenue to siphon money. There's an avenue to dupe the state. And they would always implement things that will become non-status. Yet, they will dole out monies and pay for those particular projects. He should tell us what happened to the Sky Train system. What happened to it? They told us it was going to be a means of transport. Even the Ayalolo buses President Mahama brought, they grounded them. Go to Achimota, the station. Sometimes when I look at them, I become so teary that people are struggling with transportation in this country. Yet as a result of your wickedness and your selfishness, you have grounded buses your predecessor brought, all in the name of politics. Kojo, why do we do this to ourselves? As young people, I think we must change the narrative. Let's try and help our generation. The older generation have admitted that as a result of very reckless and wicked ones like Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, their generation have failed, and they declare themselves that yes, they have not been able to live up to tax.
But Dr. Bawumia,
unfortunately, they had leaders like Akufo-Addo, they had Bawumia as part of their generation. And those two people have poured sand in their gari. But you and I must take the mantle and let's strive to create a difference for the next generation of youth in this country.
But Dr. Bawumia says that, you know what, I've heard your plight. In fact, I have had over 7 years to study the economy of Ghana, know how the dynamics go. And so I'm better placed now to be able to steer the affairs of the country going into the future.
So the first question you must ask him is, what is his solution to the problems we currently find ourselves in? In fact, what are the solutions to the problems he caused for this particular country? If you want to realize that Bawumia is totally bereft of ideas, listen to his campaigns. He has 3 messages. He says, vote for me because I'm a Muslim. He said, vote for me because I'm a northerner. Now, the new message is that vote for me because I'm a brand new president and I'm not a home use president. Look at such a character.
But are we not majoring on the minors then? Because he presented a manifesto telling us exactly why he should be voted for.
So tell me one peculiar problem that his manifesto solves. Tell me, I'm sitting here. Give me one policy that his manifesto seeks to solve. Tell me.
He's talked about digitalization.
Is that the solution to which problem?
Yeah, he's talking about how the world is going. We need to get digitalized. For which reason? That would also build the economy.
My brother,
we'll join other countries that are doing so well.
The biggest challenge we have in this country now is unemployment, whether you like it or not. I have repeatedly said that. You don't create solutions to non-existent problems. When you do that, the solution will become a problem in the long run. We were in this country when they said they were going to build a national cathedral. We told them it was not the solution to any problem. You remember? And we told them that people already had facilities. They were holding conferences and whatever in. There's no church that needs the National Cathedral for anything. They run their churches by themselves. And so that National Cathedral was not a solution to any problem. They refused to listen to us. They started a project. $1 billion have been squandered and siphoned and this. At a point in time, one human being was even 2 people on the board. We don't know today whether he was Victor Kusi Boateng or whether he's Reverend Kobene Edujemfi. We don't know. People just use dubious means to siphon monies. Look, the one who took pen and paper and drew the National Cathedral, David Ajayi, was paid 125 million for just drawing the plan and giving to the country. 2 days he raised a certificate, they paid him the monies. Recklessly spent monies and mismanaged all the funds that were given to them to build that cathedral. Today, go and look at the state of the cathedral. It has become the biggest problem to the people of this country. And the last time I was telling President Mahama that, look, that particular project, I have an interest in it. We shouldn't only retrieve the funds, but we should let the people use shovels and refill the hole they have dug there. When they finish refilling it, we should build an anti-corruption agency there and put a prison just by its side. Start sentencing all the people who dug that hole. You see, my pain in that particular project is that they didn't only sink the hole, they collapsed high-rise buildings. Because you know how rent is expensive in Accra today. Yeah. And plush buildings that belonged to judges. You have the effrontery to collapse them. And you took judges, went and rented for them at a high cost, at the expense of you and I, our taxes. The passport office and other high-rise buildings that were there, they collapsed all of them, leading this country into huge financial loss. After you finished with that, you then sink a hole and you leave it. And that hole has virtually become a galamsey pit. So this government is entirely bereft of ideas and panaceas to the problems of this country. Again, they told us one of the problems of this country was that our presidential jet was faulty and couldn't fly. You saw the problem they created in that. They went around hiring private jets. If today President Akufo-Addo wants to watch a Liverpool UEFA Champions League finals at Madrid, they'll go and rent a private jet, pay £14,000 an hour. It will fly him there to go and sit and watch a football match. Look, these are the things President Mahama says I won't do. If I want to watch a UEFA Champions League match, I will renew my DSTV with 200 cedis, sit in my house, and I'll watch the match live. You, Akufo-Addo, can you even stand in the stadium and watch the match down there? Yet you want to be in the stadium at all costs, all at the expense of the taxpayer. So the point I'm making is that this government does not understand the problem we find ourselves in. The youth of this country need jobs. Our growth rates are dwindling. GDP is on the low. Our debt is skyrocketing. And you come and stand there and you think it's a laughing matter. It's a playing matter. Anywhere you find yourself, then a child will be shouting boaben, boaben, and you'll be pressing the horn. Look at what an adult has virtually reduced himself into. President Mahama, at every given opportunity, professes solution to the problems we find ourselves.
And you think with the issue of unemployment, the NPP has not proffered any solution?
Not a single solution. All what they have been saying have been whack. They have read their manifesto, 216 pages. And Kojo, I dare tell you that 216 pages of plain sheets are better than 216 pages of the MPP's manifesto. Because at least the plain sheets can be useful to you and I to print new documents. But the MPP's manifesto is entirely empty. It is entirely a repetition of things they have said before, and it's entirely a total disaster to the corridors of this country. Take the manifesto, go into it, and tell me a single solution they have professed. Rather, the problems they have bestowed on us, that is what Alhaji Bawumia has gotten the effrontery to mount a podium and pretend as if his solutions are going to solve the problems he has bestowed on us. E-levy, you Alhaji Bawumia, the only advice you have given to Akufo-Addo since you became his vice president is to tax. They brought an e-levy tax unnecessary. The whole world, the only country that still charges COVID-19 tax is Ghana, under the auspices of Alhaji Bawumia. The whole world, the only country that taxes bola tax, sanitation tax, is Ghana, under the auspices of Bawumia. Betting that youth have been engaging in small. And I'm not saying betting is a good thing, but if the youth of this country have jobs, they will not bet. They bet because they don't have jobs. Now you, Bawumia.
So are you saying those who bet are people who don't have jobs? Because I know people who have jobs and still bet.
That means that the jobs they are doing are jobs. Their salary is not enough for them. And I already told you that there are people who go to work, but even if they didn't go to work, it would have been better because their salary is not sufficient. People engage in these bettings because they need extra source source of finances. You, Bawumia, you pretended as if you were a Muslim and you are a Malam and you give haram to Betan. Yet, when they cook the pig soup, you now beg them to give you some of the soup to drink. If you don't want Betan, cancel it. If you are allergic to pig meat, you don't drink pig soup. Now you have told the youth of this country that you can bet. When you win the bet, I beg you, give me 10% to also chop. Is that not a hypocrite? Is that not a liar? Is that not a wicked man? So clearly they are bereft of ideas. Look, at every opportunity given to President Mahama, he professes solutions to the problems of this country. President Mahama sat down and thought that everybody in this country have been working within 8 years. And if you want to test the 8 hours, I beg your pardon. And if you want to test that this country is running at a one-way shift, in the morning, look at the direction of traffic. In the evening, look at the direction of traffic. What it tells you and I is that in the morning, everybody goes towards one direction because we are all going to work within 8 hours. In the evening after 4 p.m., if you are going back to Medina, you will see the traffic going back. The same people who came to work are the same people going back. So that one-way economy cannot compete with other countries that are running a 3-shift system. So President Mahama says, look, I would meet industry and we'll discuss with them how we can also do a 3-shift system. Then he made the TUC. And TUC says that one of the reasons why we cannot run a 3-shift system, or some of the reasons why we can't run a 3-shift system, is because our taxes are high. It's because electricity tariffs are high. And some of us even fear to work in the night. These days, mobile money vendors close as early
security
as,
concerns are there.
Absolutely.
Cost of production is also there.
Absolutely. So President Mahama says, if you promise me that your jobs will run 3 shifts and recruit 3 more people at specific jobs in your company, I would then meet you halfway. So the monies I would have used to employ more than 1,600 presidential staffers and be paying them at the presidency, that will boost the amount that is taken to Office of Government Machinery to about 2 billion. I'll reduce it and take only 400 million to the Office of Government Machinery. The remaining change, I'll use part of it to give you subsidized taxes. I'll use part of it to give you time of use meters to reduce your electricity tariffs. And I'll use part of it to recruit security people to guard your companies in the night, so that you can work at a 3-shift system. So the TUC says, fantastic. What you, President Mahama, is telling us is that one job will now recruit 3 people and run a 3-shift. So in the morning, you have people going. When they close and they are coming home, another group will be going for the 2nd shift. When they close and they are coming home, the 3rd group will be going for the 3rd shift. And then we'll be able to run at the full 24-hour system in this country. How difficult is this to understand?
Isn't this now over-reliant and over-ambitious on the Office of Government Machinery allocation? Because remember, that's the same funds that we are also talking about to fund the level 100 free tertiary education and all of that. Are you not relying too much on that allocation?
No. We are not going to use only the Office of Government Machinery. I have stated that government will continuously have revenue. And government has revenue from cocoa exportation. Ghana is a net exporter of crude. We continue having revenue from our oil corridors. Every year, we get 4 billion from oil corridors. The amount of fuel we bring into this country is about 3.3 billion. Annually, we get a windfall. In the petroleum sector, when we talk of a windfall, that's profit. We get profit of about 1.1 billion. That money is reserve that any president can use to pay for anything in this country. Yet this particular government usually chooses to use that to spend recklessly. You use it to drive long convoys and use it to have a Land Cruiser carrying the chair of the president, so that when he comes into the studio, they will put the chair here for him to sit on. President Mahama says, when I come to GH1, I won't sit on a chair. The fuel that will be used to fuel the Land Cruiser that will be carrying the chair here anytime I'm coming here would rather be used to pay for the taxes of companies to recruit Ghanaian youth so that they can work and boost productivity in this country. That is a simple policy for any Ghanaian to understand. Yet, there is one man who says he does not understand that, and that is Alhaji Bawumia. He will say the 24-hour economy is working because chop bars run 24 hours.
Hospitals
run 24 hours. Tomorrow, he will say it is a bad policy, so it cannot be implemented. Look at that. One man, you are hot, you are cold. And you see, I have known Alhaji Bawumia, and I know him better than you. He's my brother from the north. He's one man who lies unrepentantly. And he lies as if there is no tomorrow again for us to even expose him. Look, you cannot be hot and cold at the same time. Bawumia at a point says that I wasn't in charge of the economy. And I was not at the helm of affairs. And at another time, he says that he performed better than President Mahama. So where does he stand? There are 2 things Bawumia must do for us before we judge him, or before we even think of going into the election. and even remembering him on the ballot paper. He must either admit that for the 8 years of Akufo-Addo, he was entirely useless, or he must admit that he was at the helm of affairs, but he was highly incompetent. These are two things. You cannot be here and here at the same time. And that has been his attitude, even in terms of religion. Look, the last time I said that if we don't take care, for 66 years or 67 years of our independence, Bawumia will plunge this country into religious chaos. Because he is the only flag bearer who still goes around campaigning on religious lines. And Kojo, you and I, let's advise the young man. This is not the way to go as a leader in this country. You cannot go around and tell people to vote for you because you are a Buddhist, because you are a Muslim. And you see, when you go to churches, you go and look at the church and tell them that Jesus is coming again and Jesus is coming to save the world. Meanwhile, the religion that you belong to does not even believe in that. Islam, the difference between Islam and Christianity is that Islam does not believe that Jesus Christ is the savior. So if you go to church and you are telling them that Jesus Christ is the savior, it looks as if you are now coming to trick them and they don't even know where you stand. So let's advise him. This religious tangent is not healthy. Even if you claim they should vote for you because you are a Muslim. When you were a Muslim at 8 years of being a vice president, what did you do for the Muslim communities? There's been a debate on hijab from time immemorial. The only man to have commented on that and allowed Muslim girls with hijab to attend senior high schools was President Mahama. You came in for 8 years, you haven't touched on the issue of Muslim hijab. When President Mahama was president, we used to go to Hajj between 11,000 and 13,000. Today, you said you took a Quran to the Flagstaff House, yet Hajj fares are 75,750 million. How can people go again on pilgrimage? You said you are a Muslim, yet every now and then, your actions depict somebody different from what the Islamic community believe in. You say you're going to build model schools for Zongo communities. You should show me where the model schools are today. So these lies Bawumia brought in 2016 will no longer wash. I have said that in 2016, we had mercy on Bawumia because we really didn't know who he was. The stories we believed about him were told to us by Akufo-Addo. It was Akufo-Addo who told us he had worked at the Bank of Ghana. Akufo-Addo said he understands the corridors of this country. He is the economic messiah, the economic guru. And anytime they were saying it, he will be shaking the head and behaving funny. But today, we have seen his true length. And look, the most important aspect of leadership we must talk about, especially when it's got to do with Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, is the issue of corruption. 216 pages of their manifesto, corruption appeared only 3 times. They mentioned corruption 3 times.
And isn't that an indication that the government has already done enough in terms of nipping corruption in the bud?
It is an indication that their conscience was fighting them when they were writing.
Because they talk about setting up the Special Prosecutor's Office and how that has also helped. And now the NDC finds it expedient only to support the works of the Special Prosecutor when it exonerates former President John
After
Mahama.
they formed the Special Prosecutor's Office, in fact, at the vetting of the first Special Prosecutor, he said he couldn't live a single day with criminals and thieves, and that anytime he sees corruption, he chokes and he runs away from the site of corruption. 3-4 months after the man started office, he labeled for the first time our president as being the mother serpent of corruption, and that our president of all corrupt snakes was the biggest python that swallows corrupt money in the economy. True or false? That office was what passed a verdict on Alhaji Bawumia to have stolen 10,000 bags of salad rice from the port, all in the name of his administrator called Kekosai. But today, Kekosai is still at the helm of affairs. That Special Prosecutor's Office is what finally came and told us that he's now Ankwanoma. Corruption has choked him to the extent that he wants to fly, that his soul has left his body. And at this particular point, even if he dies because Akufo-Addo and Bawumia's corruption have been stinking in this country.
That's
I am saying
into
that the only
comments.
corrupt entity, the only corrupt leadership we've had in this country is Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, and their corruption history is there. Look, at a point, Akufo-Addo was testing Bawumia with corrupt deals. And anytime Bawumia did the corruption, we exposed him. Ameri, innovation scandal. We brought Ameri 510 billion. Akufo-Addo on the 31st of July traveled to ECOWAS for a meeting. So he decided to test Bawumia to see whether he's learned corruption on the job. Then he gave the deal to him to sign. It was Bawumia who signed the Ameri innovation scandal that ballooned Ameri from 510 million to 1.3 billion. When they took it to Parliament, Parliament exposed them. The president had to run back to Ghana just to cover Bawumia. And what the president did was to sack Boache Jako and lie that he was misled. Till date, Kojo, do you know who misled the president? He didn't tell you and I. Boache Jaku wrote a statement and said when the dust settles, one day he will speak. And the day he will speak, we will see the kind of evil people we have at the helm of affairs. Again, PDS was supposed to come and support the corridors of this country. They were supposed to develop our 33 kV lines so we could export electricity from Ghana to neighboring countries. When PDS was brought, the Millennium Development Fund was supposed to come from America and support us with about 500 million to boost our energy corridors. The money was brought. They decided to set up an SPV called PDS. Bawumia and Akufo-Addo went and brought their friends, some of them were Babes and the rest, brought them together and formed this particular SPV. When it was formed, they were supposed to meet what we call condition precedence. Bawumia decided to alter that and make it a condition subsequent because he knew the intentions of what he was going to do and he knew that he was going to balloon the contract. Then they presented fraudulent, fake Carl Bank documents and presented to Parliament. When Parliament exposed them, their own minister, Amewu, said the documents they had presented were fraudulent. In the FTR report stated that Bawumia was the one who chaired that meeting that concocted those documents and presented. You know what it did for the wrong it did to you and I? We lost the 500 million media was going to bring. Today, as we speak, 500 million they had collected in the name of ECG is still seated in their accounts. And that is why every day ECG runs at a loss because Bawumia have refused to release the 500 million. Again, Ghana is now under arbitration in the UK. Every week, the local champion, Godfrey Dame, uses the taxpayers' money to fly first class to go to the UK and defend that particular corrupt deal. If this is no wickedness, then what again can it be? Again, in corruption, Nyantechi was the one who told you and I that Akufo-Addo is my friend, and I know where he sits. If you enter the room, don't talk. Just give Akufo-Addo $3 million. The next morning, he will look for my packet and enter. Once he enters the packet, you can be sure that all the contracts in this country will become ours. And when you meet Bawumia, give him $2 million. Bawumia has suffered too much. When you give him $2 million, he will shake the head. All the contracts in the north will be given to us. Nyantechi told us. That particular matter was subjected to investigation. Up to now, we don't know the report of that investigation. Right. Nobody has told us anything. So when NDC comes, we will show you people how Bawumia and Akufo-Addo have been corrupt, and Nyantechi will have to explain to us how they were sharing these monies in an ass expose. And again, Alistair Matthias, under when Al Jazeera did their investigation under that, the gold mafia said Akufo-Addo is my friend. He's my best friend. Sometimes I smuggle monies out of the country in their name. I launder monies in their name. Here in Bawumia,
and these are claims that were made.
Akufo-Addo
that have not been substantiated.
So Akufo-Addo wrote to Al Jazeera and asked them to withdraw or he will sue them. You remember, through his lawyer, Esuman. Up to now, Al Jazeera said we won't withdraw, and even if you joke with us, we will show videos of you even collecting the monies. Don't joke with us, or else we embarrass you. Till date, Akufo-Addo hasn't gone to court on that matter. If he's a man and he has balls, he and Bawumia should go to court and let's see. They would bathe them and strip them naked, and the whole country will see how corrupt they are. Why? Isn't it the first president we saw collecting brown envelope on camera? 2 times they brought it. Akufo-Addo came, went back, came again and went back. What's Akufo-Addo? $40,000 was in that particular envelope. These acts are acts of, total shamelessness. And we think that as leaders, they should explain to us. You see, I'm always waiting for investigations into matters. We're all happy when the OSP finally exonerated and vindicated President Mahama. You know, so the last lie they were lying on President Mahama, Airbus. The OSP said President Mahama is a clean man. And every allegation labeled against President Mahama, because he knows he's a clean man, he subjects himself to investigation. But you see, the one I cry for most is Bawumia, because Akufo-Addo has 3 years immunity. As for Bawumia, even on the 8th of January, we can start testing his corrupt balls, and that will be done. The people of this country need accountability.
Well, the party says he's incorruptible. There's not been any allegations that have been proven against Dr. Bawumia in terms of corruption. He's not a man that can be corrupted. President Akufo-Addo has told us himself that he believes in the competence of Dr. Bawumia and the fact that he's a man of his word. He's a man who has lived beyond expectation.
It is because of the lies Akufo-Addo told us that we are suffering today as a country. It was Akufo-Addo who told us Bawumia was the economic wizard and the messiah and was going to arrest the dollar and capture the dollar. Today the dollar changes at 16 cedi. You know, so Akufo-Addo told us Bawumia was going to reduce fuel prices. Today a gallon of petrol is about close to 100 Ghana cedi. You know, so. So one of the reasons why we are suffering today is because Akufo-Addo was deceiving us that Bawumia was a good guy, only for us to realize that the man is entirely clueless, entirely bereft, and worst of it all, he lies through his teeth.
The argument is that all these could have been done, but for the external factors
I am coming to what Bawumia has done to we the people of the North. if I feel pain. You know why? The Bagri Dam has been spilled. Have you heard about it? It started consuming people's properties and lives and property. I sat in your studio here and I said that what the North will never forget is the wickedness of Alhaji Bawumia to his own people, the people of the Northeast. $12 million that was supposed to commence work on the Palugu irrigation dam. Bawumia and his cronies squandered the money. When they went to cut salt for the program, they took one trip of sand and 153 blocks. That sand has been sold to the local assemblyman. The last time I went there, they said 149 blocks were sold, and the people were begging me to buy the remaining 4 blocks. The contractor has left site because not a single peso was given to him. Yet, in the Auditor General's report, $12 million, about 125 million, have already been doled out and paid. If you want to be wicked to your own people, the Palugu irrigation dam was simply supposed to always collect water from the Bagri Dam spill.
The excess.
Absolutely, the excesses, and use it for irrigation during the dry season.
And that's why in his manifesto he said that
again.
Yes, he's going to prioritize
again.
That.
You see, anybody who does this is entirely shameless. And the Quran tells us that people you should fear in your life are shameless people. At least when you have an iota of shame in your life, you would have conscience. And when you have conscience, you won't be wicked to people. But when you are shameless, you are the worst form of human being. And that is Bawumia. You have spent $12 million. You have deceived your people for 8 years. And you have the effrontery again to stand and say they should vote for you.
To be fair to him, he wasn't president.
My brother.
He is not president.
Then when he becomes president,
and so
we'll be dead.
An executive decision that is taken that Dr. Bawumia does not have control over.
You weren't president yet. You took 10,000 bags of rice from a businessman. That matter is still under investigation. The special prosecutor.
And because
you weren't president.
Investigation, we can't conclude.
You weren't president yet.
Malik, we cannot conclude that Dr. Bawumia did that.
You weren't president yet. You were taking $250,000 as appearance fee. And Charles Edubuahin said it. When the special prosecutor investigated it, he said Bawumia's corruption is so big that it goes beyond his office. And he was pleading with government to pass what we call the Corruption Practices Act, so we could finally sit Bawumia down and strip him naked. That matter is not dead. If Bawumia thinks that we've forgotten, we haven't. And on 9th January, his prosecution will begin in that particular matter. So we can term a lot of these things as allegations because the clearing agent will definitely clear them. But the day of reckoning is coming. And the youth of this country want to see accountability in some of these things. Let me come to the policies and projects of President Mahama. President Mahama, aside the 24-hour economy, has professed a national apprenticeship program. He's saying that young people struggle to get jobs. And young people who are learning informal jobs like tailoring, masonry, welding, featery, mechanic, and all these things, painting, usually struggle to even buy little things to get enrolled. Upon assumption of office, he will set up a fund that will be used to support all these people. And when you graduate and finish your tenure, he will give you some small startup capital to go and start your work, so you could also become a master in this world. If we have enough human resource in this country, beyond even the demand of people in this country, we will start exporting some of those workers to go and work in other countries. Don't you see Chinese people working on our roads in Ghana? It's because the demand for masons have gone beyond their country. So today they get contracts in Ghana and they come and work. We could also get contracts in other African countries. Ibrahim Mahama is a private man, yet he gets contracts in other African countries. Currently he's working in Liberia because the demand has gone beyond this country. So public demand can also go beyond this country. And we can emulate people like Mr. Ibrahim Mahama and go into other African countries and work. We need human resource, and President Mahama says we'll train them. There's going to be what we call a Money Fund. President Mahama says when drivers, when tailors, when hairdressers retire, they sometimes struggle. I know somebody who was very, very okay and very comfortable when he was working as a tailor. He's retired. Today, when you see his life, excuse me to say, it's nothing to write home about because his savings have all been consumed. President Mahama says he will set up a fund so that when those people retire, he could be giving you those small stipends so that you would also enjoy your retirement till one day God calls you. Because when you were a tailor, you were serving the nation. You were sewing dresses for you and I could just sit in the studio here. So why is it that when you retire, government shouldn't support you? President Mahama says we would support all these people. 1 million coders training coders program for young youth in ICT. President Mahama says, look, the youth of this country are so smart that, look, even without government support to them, there are many people who create softwares, many people who are already working in the IT sector. So when he comes into office, we will set up a fund to train 1 million youth in ICT. And some of these youths that will be trained in ICT will work in government agencies through the 24-hour economy. Some of these people will be used as galamsey trackers through AI, that we said we'll use AI to fight galamsey. Some of these youths will be used to, fit into corridors that will establish online businesses for people to work and even work for multinational companies in this country. That is the vision of President Mahama to the young generation of this country. President Mahama says we'll set up a women's fund. And that was one of the reasons why he brought Professor Nana Jane. Women in this country struggle a lot. Look, the last time a woman was telling me that when you take loan from a private company, there are some of them that if your loan is due today and by tomorrow you don't pay, they'll come and start throwing stones on your roofing sheet and they'll frustrate you till you finally pay the loan. Why can't we have a public venture where women walk in freely, no guarantor system, get loans, and start up their businesses? Look, when a woman's business thrives, she employs Ghanaian youth. She makes a living for herself. She will pay small taxes to government, and government productivity will also be boosted so that we can cut down on importation and rather focus on an export-led corridor. That is the vision of President Mahama, to give women small loans to start up their businesses. Free tertiary education for level 100.
Talking about the Women's Development Bank, there are some who say we've seen semblance of that, where women or people are given loans, and we've seen how these things have turned out. Like you mentioned, in some private sectors, we see some companies going after the people who have taken loans and able to pay and all of those things. How different will that be when we have a Women's Development Bank? Because the argument is that we are likely to see these things play out in that sector also.
Number one, the difference is that this is going to be a public venture. Number two, this is going to be strictly women. Number three, you will not need a guarantor system to come and take. Number four, the interest that you'll be paying back on the loans you've taken are going to be very little and regulated by government. Number five is going to be a flexible loan system. Number six, there's going to be assurance that when you go into the bank, you will get the needed money you need to start up your business. So this is entirely different from the private sector. Indeed, there are private schools, but there are public schools. And indeed, there are people who want to attend more public schools because they feel that is controlled by government and they are highly trustworthy, and in anything you do, it is secured and you have the assurances. That is what the Women's Bank is going to represent. A public venture that will give women loans to start up their businesses and boost productivity in this country whilst employing well-meaning Ghanaians.
And as has been the case with current interventions, where the accusation has always been that government rather targets people from their party, people who are sympathetic towards the party, and those are the people that get access. How different is this going to be so that we do not have a repetition of same?
I'm happy you are bringing this up. It is because you have seen the MPP in power for 8 years, and you've seen their misconduct and their negligence. That is why you assume that all political parties do that. And it's well understood, because of course, MPP came into office, even fertilizer that they share, they give it to their party apparatchiks. The last time somebody was telling me that my own good friend Chinia was one of the people who was exporting fertilizer on the back of a donkey. Fertilizers that were meant for his constituency. He decided to export them into Burkina Faso.
Allegations again.
And make money. I'm saying this, my integrity on the line. I'm Deputy National Communications Officer. When I tell you something, I say because I know what I'm saying. His own minister wrote a letter accusing him of smuggling fertilizer on the back of a donkey. I have copies of those letters. The then Agric Minister, Akoto, I have copies of it. But I have said that, as for that particular one, when we come, we would ask the donkeys where they took the fertilizer to. They will show us and we'll bring the fertilizer back and prosecute that man, Chinia. But that aside, the NDC government was sharing free fertilizer when we were in office to cocoa farmers. The Ghanaian people saw how we shared it. We didn't discriminate. We gave everybody the fertilizers because we knew that if everybody plants and the cocoa grows, government will make profit for it. And that was how come the NDC even chalked 1 million tons in cocoa production. There are other policies the NDC brought into office when we're in government. And some of those things were freely shared to the Ghanaian people. Look, sometimes one of my pains as an NDC person is that there are many NDC people who even attack the party because they felt the NDC government was too fair to Ghanaian people. You've been hearing it. NDC people saying that for NDC, when you come into power, you do father for all. You help everybody. You don't support only NDC people and leave MPP people. But when MPP comes, they support only their people. People have been attacking the party.
And John Mahama says he's been extricated of the father for all syndrome.
Yes, and that is different from what the MPP is doing today.
How so?
President Mahama says he's been extricated because he will not, he will not do things that will see other people's lives go down whilst others grow. He will not run a family and friends government, of course. And he's saying that at this particular time, well-meaning Ghanaians who duly deserve to get what they earn will get what they earn. That is all he's saying.
But
so
isn't that the
says,
father for all thing?
No, there's a difference.
Regardless of where someone belongs or regardless of it, you're still a father to the person?
Bawumia's brother, Abraham Bawumia, tendered for contracts to renovate the whole airport. His company was the weakest among all other companies. The weakest. All other companies that tendered were strong and had good experience. Yet, because Bawumia was his brother, they awarded the contract to him. Family and friends. Bawumia's brother tendered for a contract again at Teshi to reconstruct the Teshi roads. He inflated the contract and ballooned it to about 75 million. They brought it, and because Bawumia was his brother, they gave to him dates. Teshi roads have been abandoned. The whole airport renovation virtually has been abandoned. And yet, the monies that were meant for it have been siphoned.
When Teshi road are you talking about?
President Mahama says...
There's been some construction in terms of Teshi inner city roads. Are you talking about the main road?
The other roads, the interjoining roads, go through Teshi. All those roads were allocated to Bawumia's brother. As for that contract to see on the Teshi main road, it was awarded by the NDC.
Yeah.
And NDC started this construction. I'm talking about what they awarded to Bawumia's brother, Abraham Bawumia, with his wife. It was he and his wife's company. And Bawumia asked them to award it to him. Conflict of interest, another corrupt practice that will not abandon. So as for Bawumia, he and his brother, Abraham Bawumia, both of them will be standing trial when NDC comes into power. But that aside, President Mahama says he will not run a father for all government. Does not mean when well-meaning Ghanaians deserve to get something, they will not get it. They will. But he's saying that he will not give contracts to people who don't deserve it. He will not give contracts to his family and leave the Ghanaian people. He would ensure that everybody gets what he deserves and what is due under his administration. Look, contractors have not been paid. Many contractors are struggling for a livelihood. Yet anytime Bawumia's brother raises a certificate, they pay him. I have said that, look, aside the state capture of lands and property in this country, there is currently an ongoing human capture. Asante Bedetu, his father has been appointed to the GIMPA board. His mother has been appointed to the presidential household. His sister has also been appointed to a board. His brother has been appointed to a board, including his daughter. So as for Asante Bedetu, everybody in his house is currently an appointee under this government. For the first time in the history of this country, Akufo-Addo appointed his own daughter, Jen Nkrumah, at the Creative Arts Industry Board. Contracts that were given to his daughter, okay, in huge sums, could have been given to Ghanaian contractors to do, because at least you are president. And in sharing the national cake, every household must get some. But you decided to run a family and friends government. You, your cousins, including your baby mama, Virginia Hesse, has been appointed an ambassador to Czech Republic. Why? What kind of wickedness is this? When Bawumia realized what his boss was doing, Bawumia also decided to start doing family and friends. So his sister, Laraba, was first made the NDA boss. She siphoned over 200 abobo years. Till now, they have not accounted for it. When Bawumia realized that his sister was so sharp, and when he even elevates her, she will do more of these scandals for them, he now made her the gender minister. Today, only God knows what they are doing at the gender ministry. Bawumia now went and took his wife's father, Mr. Ramadan, made him ambassador to Czech Republic, took the wife's brother, Abu Ramadan, made him deputy CEO for NADMO, took his own brother again, Mumuni Bawumia, not the Abraham Bawumia, they are giving contracts. So this is another one, Mumuni Bawumia. He works at the Interior Ministry. They have shared positions to themselves, their family members, their wives. I mean, if you decide to share a national cake in a family house, what do you want the Ghanaian people to do? And that is why only a few people will continue to enjoy in this country. Yet, you have about 1.8 million Ghanaian youth still out there being unemployed. President Mahama says when he comes, he will set up mining communities, refineries and mining communities. So all mining communities will get refineries to work with and would continue to start producing and transforming our raw mining minerals into finished goods. Why can't we produce batteries in this country? We've discovered lithium at Mankesim. Yet, countries will come and buy the lithium, go and produce the batteries, and come and sell to us again. President Mahama says that will be a thing of the past. If we have the raw product here, the finished product must be produced here. Even if you are a multinational and you want to produce, come and set up the company in Ghana. When you set up the company, you will definitely recruit Ghanaians. And then you can produce here and export to your country. We will no longer let you take the raw material to your country, go and work, bring it here and sell to us at high prices. Those days will be a thing of the past. Cocoa growing areas. President Mahama says the best chocolate in China is chocolate from Ghana, which means that we could transform our cocoa into finished goods and also export chocolate to other neighboring countries. In 2015, I remember when President Mahama set up the BP shea nut factory to the PBC, we exported huge tons of shea nuts and shea butter to Brazil. I remember by then the Agric Minister was Alhaji Muniru Limuna. He brought in tractors into this country because the Brazil government was so happy that we had brought shea butter to them. That is what they needed to produce creams and even medicine in their countries. We exported to them. We got huge revenue and we got tractors in addition. Why can't we revamp the shea nut corridor of this country? President Mahama did it. This government has come. They have collapsed the BP shea nut factory. The PBC, they have used corruption to finally collapse the entire PBC. So the Ghana Nuts Company is virtually on its knees. They lay off workers for more than 3 years now. They cannot even pay their workers. That is the wickedness of this particular Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Yeah, President Mahama says when we come, we will not only revamp the shea nut factory, but cocoa refineries will also be set up. Farmer cooperatives. And my brother Kojo, next year by this time, let's go into farming. Because you see, farming is a lucrative business. And no matter what you do, you can be a banker, you can be a doctor, but you can also have a supplementary farm. I know people who are doctors. Yeah, they have pig farms and goat farms and cattle farms. And every weekend they come and sell their meat in town. They make huge sums of money. I want to go into farming. I don't know about you. Next year by this time, let's go to the north. Let's get land and then let's set up farming. President Mahama says he will give us free tractors to plow our lands. He will give us free seedlings to plant. And when we start boosting and getting a bumper harvest, he will clap for us and also reward us. That will increase the productivity of this country because we will supply raw materials to farm people in this country to produce finished goods. We will also supply food supplements for people to use in cooking food in their homes. Today, we import even pepper to a tune of 2.2 billion. We import tomatoes to a tune of 2 billion. The last time I checked, even wele we eat. We import it from Niger. Abba, alabaraka. So we cannot rear cattle here. We cannot farm tomatoes. We can't farm onion. We can't farm pepper in this country. Next year by this time, you would have to change my name to Farmer Malik because I would be in the bush farming because President Mahama will give us incentives and ensure that the youth of this country go into adequate farming.
But MPP says that's what they're doing with PFJ.
The MPP says what?
Planting for food and jobs.
The plan after the plan.
Rearing for food and jobs.
So after that, we are importing pepper to 2.2 billion. After that, rice importation has risen to 4 billion. After that, last 2 months, we didn't even have tomatoes in this country. We had to wait for the harvest in Niger. And you see, I continuously say that Bawumia is a disaster to the people of this country. Look, when they went for COVID-19 funds, 21 billion they got. They decided to share it like grandma to their parliamentary candidates. They squandered the money out of corruption, misused COVID funds. When Cote d'Ivoire got their 1 billion rapid credit facility from the IMF. You know what they use it to do? They use it to plant onion and they use it to plant tomato. Today we go to Cote d'Ivoire to buy tomato. That is how smart Ay3ks was. Niger is a desert. You know that. They don't even have water. Yet Niger got their COVID funds and they used it to plant pepper. Because Niger knew that Ghana had an incompetent liar like Bawumia, who was vice president, and he will not use our money to plant pepper. He will spend the money and will come to them to buy pepper. Today, whatever they prophesied has come to pass. We go to Niger to buy pepper and bring it to this country. So John Mahama says, let's take this braggadocious pair of leadership out of office and let's sit and work and farm and grow things in this country. And then our GDP will be able to grow. I was talking about the free tertiary education for year ones.
Yes.
Next year by this time, if you have a sister in Form 3, tell your sister that all she needs to go to university is her ECOLAG and her Ghana must go back. She just needs to call the school and say, I'm coming to school. And you will be in school. Wonderful policy. President Mahama says it's a privilege for everyone to be in to attain tertiary education. So he will support you. He will clear your fees for the first year, so that you have the privilege of being a tertiary student. When you finally become a tertiary student in year 2, you don't even have money to pay your fees. He has expanded the student loan trust fund, so you can go to the student loan, get money, and finally complete your education.
But with that policy, there have been a lot of questions about what exactly makes it free. If is it that the government will absorb everything, including the cost of accommodation?
Do you pay school fees? I don't know if you pay school fees.
Yes, I have 3 daughters.
So next year by this time, when your daughter comes and say, Daddy, give me school fees, that component you always give her, you won't give her again. Tell your daughter that your mama has paid your school fees. That is what we mean by free tertiary education.
So what does it encapsulate then?
I'm telling you that I just made it simple for you to the layman's understanding. When school resumes and your daughter comes and says, Daddy, I want school fees.
For the tertiary institution.
Tertiary institution. That money you used to give your daughter or your son, you will no longer give that daughter. And if you're a boy listening to me or a young man, that money you usually go and tell your dad or your mom that, Mommy, give me school fees. That money, your mama has paid for it. School fees is entirely, definitely different from residential fees. And you know that. So that school fees you used to give your children or your what? Your mama says, I have taken the cost. And you will no longer give that. Good news to level 100 students.
But the question is clarity on the policy, because people feel,
so
like you said,
yes,
that you just have to take your Ecolag and go.
I've given clarity.
But when I go to the school, unless, of course, I have to commute from home to school, and as a father, as a parent,
I've explained that to you
right.
now. I've brought clarity to it.
Okay.
That we are talking about school fees for level 100. When you are going to school, if school resumes, you ask your daddy you want school fees, and you ask him you want hostel fee. You know, so your mama says I've taken school fees.
So let daddy provide hostel fees.
It is clear. That's all. Go to school. If you are a day student, take your Ecola, take your book. Don't even go to the accounts office of the university. You have no business there. Just go to the classroom and start school. Your mama says I'll cater for that fees for you. The last time the policy was explained at the youth, campaign manifesto launch.
Yeah.
They interviewed SHS students. And one SHS boy said, I've been thinking of how I'll attain tertiary education, but John Mahama has met me halfway. May God continue to bless John Mahama. Next year by this time, inshallah, I'll also go to tertiary education for free. Look, this is a fantastic policy. We will run it in this country, and in time to come, Year 2 will become free. Year 3 will become free. Year 4 will become free.
So the progressively free
absolutely
thing is what
has been started. And it was started under the free SHS in 2015 by John Mahama. When MPP came, they also made year 1 free, you remember. Then year 2 became free. Then year 3 became free. Then it became free.
So the ultimate aim is to make tertiary education
definitely
free.
Based on Article 25 of our Constitution. So it must be free in the long term. And this is what President Mahama is starting. At the long term, we'll go to school free. And I want to wake up one morning, seeing Ghana at a 24-hour economy, seeing Ghana at 2 a.m., people going to work and some coming back, seeing Ghana get free tertiary education, you can go to school for free, seeing Ghana having free primary health care, you go to the hospital for free, and government will continue to work and establish companies and boost companies to work, and then government will continue to get revenue to still run the economy. That is the Ghana I want to build, and the only one who can help me, you, and everybody in this studio build that Ghana we want is John Dramani Mahama. No two ways.
So for the free tertiary level 100 education, we are looking at it starting, if John Mahama wins.
When he wins.
In January.
When he wins in January, it will start, inshallah.
Right.
Once he wins, the next academic year, full force.
And one of my challenges with that is that I've heard John Mahama say that this government has chewed the meat.
Yes.
And has left the bones. So are we going to use the bones? Are the bones enough to be able to fund this without putting unnecessary strain on the government and the running of government for John Mahama if he becomes president?
John Mahama has never said anywhere that revenue will stop flowing through government corridors. And anybody who says that is not truthful. And John Mahama has never said that. John Mahama knows that revenue will continue coming. John Mahama knows that we'll continue to export oil. He knows that we'll continue to export gold. He knows that we'll continue to develop and run our country. And John Mahama intends even coming into office and producing things locally. Like I stated, the raw materials that will be transformed into finished goods. When that is done, we'll get enough revenue flowing in. And that revenue will not be recklessly spent like how Bawumia is doing today. It will not be recklessly mismanaged by like how Bawumia is doing today. It will be prudently managed, and it will be utilized into efficient ventures for the Ghanaian youth to get the desired and needed resource from all those managements and innovations President Mahama is going to set up. So once revenue comes in, it's a decision of you, the president, to know what you use the money to. John Mahama will not fly private jet. He will recruit Ghanaian youth. John Mahama will not cut e-levy cake. He would rather use it to pay for free tertiary education. John Mahama will not choke his government with family members and appoint a huge number into office. John Mahama says he's doing only how many ministers? 60 ministers.
60.
Fantastic policy.
Bawumia says he's doing 50.
The remaining, his government did 120 after telling us they will reduce the number.
Because President Akufo-Addo said he needed that number
John Mahama
at the
was
time.
in office.
And that's why Dr. Bawumia is going contrary to a lot of things that are happening currently. And some say he should be hailed for being bold enough to be a part of the government and still say that when I am given the nod, I'm going to go contrary to what is happening now because I feel that this is the way to go.
Yeah. He's a bold hypocrite. He's a bold hypocrite because if you are not a bold hypocrite, you will not be in government and be telling us to vote for you again to come and solve the problem you have created for us. That is a bold hypocrite. So the only boldness Bawumia has is in hypocrisy and is in lies. Aside these two things, he has no boldness in anything. I am saying that listen to Bawumia's campaign message and you will know that the man is entirely bereft of ideas. Worst of it is that he went and brought a man who is not the medicine to his sickness. He went and brought Napo, an arrogant, look, that man sees human beings like we don't even exist. When he's walking, that pomposity, when he's talking with, to the extent that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our savior, the man who fought for the independence of this country,
but he has apologized for that.
Was thrown.
Malik,
after he apologized,
apologized,
he went on radio and insulted him again. I have the video, I can send to your producer. He pretentiously apologized, went on radio again and insulted Nkrumah, threw Nkrumah to the tatters. Look, sometimes I wonder how Nkrumah will be feeling in his grave today. Is this the Ghana I fought for? Napo, you want to take me to the gutters? Please, have respect for former presidents. Me, I respect all former presidents because I know that they lived and worked. I respect President Kufuor, 21 gun salutes. He was not an NDC man, but I respect him. I respect Atamels, 21 gun salutes. I respect even JB Dankwa, who was very evil, and they were the people who, merged with the CIA to finally even eradicate Nkrumah under the economy. There were people when they were declaring independence, JB Dankwa and co were hiding in the crowd. They wanted to see what Nkrumah would do. They never mounted the podium. Yet after Nkrumah became president, these hypocrites who are family members to Akufo-Addo decided to go and pay on to the CIA, and they came and sacked Nkrumah. Nkrumah wrote that in the dark days of Ghana, in the book he wrote. Yet, I still respect him. Akufo-Addo's father, who gave birth to Akufo-Addo, who is now our problem in Ghana today, I respected with Akufo-Addo. He was a former president. So why is it that you, Napo, you just don't want to respect anyone? Recently, did you see how he called Atamels? Please, if you were not brought up well, I learned that when people die, sometimes you don't even say he's dead. He's kicked a bucket. In the Akan language, Wakanchiniegu. Very good. I'm not really an Akan.
I'm not Akan.
Yes. Wakanchiniegu. Oh, nyamia freno. Oh, wakwe nyame die. Those are the beautiful attributes we tie on to death. You don't just say, whoa, 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 whoa. No, please. No, sir. We don't do that. If you were not trained this way, I'm here to tell you. You don't tell somebody that woo near woo. No. Respect Atamels. May his soul rest in peace. Respect his family. At least, if not for anything, respect what his family feels about him. You can't just disrespect them that way. So a liar like Bawumia decided to bring an incompetent, arrogant man, and that two pair, I sat here and I said it, they are a condemned team. You, Napo, you insulted diploma holders. You said they didn't have the qualification to even teach, and they were dunderheads. Look, Kojo, my father did diploma before he finally did a degree. He didn't do diploma because he was a dunderhead. He did diploma because he was a poor boy from a small village in the Upper East called Binduri. And there were many people who had to go to school. His father didn't have money to pay their fees. So he needed to do diploma. When he becomes a teacher, he then starts earning a salary. Then he betters on his certificate and finally gets a degree. Many diploma students who are watching me today had the same situation as my father. And so Napo shouldn't think that because people do diploma, the reason why people do diploma is because they are dunderheads. People do diploma for different reasons, and in the long run, they further better their educations. I know doctors today who first did diploma. I know professors who first did diploma. So he doesn't even understand it. Then you just call diploma students dunderheads. Can you go to diploma students again and campaign? Free SHS, when students were pleading on you that they wanted latrines and washrooms, you said they had a poly bag. How do you talk this way? But like this. I can't repeat some of these things. You, Napo, attempted introducing LGBT curriculum in the name of comprehensive sexuality education. We kicked against it because you wanted to teach our children how man and man should marry, how woman and woman to marry. After we kicked against it, Napo refused to bring a curriculum again. And I know that when they win power, God forbid, if they win power, God forbid, they will bring back that LGBT system because both of them are refusing to even comment on it because they know the intentions they have.
Dr. Bawumia has commented on it.
Napo attempted bringing that. Bawumia said that
his religion is against it and he stands for his religion.
Akufo-Addo went to the Anglican church and said the same thing. When he went to Al Jazeera, he said it is bound to happen. When Kamala Harris came here, he repeated the same LGBT stance to her. So these are people who would say one thing when they are in corners, but when they meet the world, they can't say it. When John Mahama met the world, he said it. When Atamels met the world, he said it. If he's bold, he should say it for the world to hear. They are pretending. They are hypocrites. You see, Napo has been entirely arrogant and entirely clueless after President Mahama resolved Dumso by bringing power batches into this country. Napo led us again into Dumso. When Napo went to the Otumfuo Palace, Otumfuo said, Minister, wa obaha ye kwa kodidi, ena wa wenim kania friend. Otumfuo, his own uncle, told him to go and resolve the issue of Dumso. Yet when Napo had the platform, he stood there and said there has never been Dumso under him. Indirectly, he called Otumfuo a liar. Because Otumfuo
he says what we experienced was Dumso.
But Otumfuo said it was Dumso. And he admitted when Otumfuo said it. So why will you change your stance and call your own uncle a liar? Look, with the greatest of respect, I think that Napo needs help. We need to sit him down. Aside he vying to even be vice president, we need to sit him down. As a human being, you cannot be this arrogant. You see, the world has seen wicked, arrogant people. Idi Amin and those people, very wicked people. And I don't think that we should nurture people like Napo again into becoming that. Let's talk to them. They should calm down. You should emulate Professor Nana Jane, a professor who is very humble. 2 days ago, we were at the Tema market. And the market woman said, when you even see her, you will know that she's achieved such a huge milestone. How humble she is. The last time I heard Wuntumi and Co even insulting her that she dresses very simple. And I was asking myself, so you want Professor Nana Jane to wear gold chain and wear gold things because she's a professor? No. Professor Nana Jane says she's as simple as everyone. She would wear what she can afford. She will go to the market women and talk to them. She will go to the road on the streets and talk to women. She doesn't need to dress like an Italian oligarch for people to see her and know she's a professor. No. She will dress as simple. If you want to do that, continue doing that. But for me, I'm a humble woman, I'm a simple woman, and that is what our mothers and the female corridor of this country will need. So, next year by this time, Ghana will be a prosperous nation under John Dramani Mahama.
So quite interestingly, this Saturday, you're launching your manifesto.
Right.
And I've had some MPP folk tell me, Kojo, watch out, they'll be stealing our policies. And it's a good thing that we brought our policies earlier. The NDC is an alternative that people should not go for. What should we expect on Saturday?
Let me first tell you the policies MPP are stolen from our manifesto. 1 million.
You're yet to be launched manifesto, yes, or the youth manifesto?
I'm going to tell you because it was in our 2020 manifesto.
Okay.
And we'll repeat some of those things.
Okay.
1 million coders program for young graduates. It was in our 2020 manifesto. Bawumia stole it. Page 13 of our youth manifesto again, we repeated it. Bawumia stole it. It was in their manifesto. They put it there. The same thing, word for word. So Bawumia just asked them to bring the NDC 2020 manifesto. He told the IT guy to do copy and paste and put it there, and we caught him. John Mahama promised free tertiary for disabilities in 2020. We are going to repeat it again. Bawumia has stolen it and they have put it in their manifesto, page 27 of their manifesto. Stolen policy. Abolish e-levy and betting tax. President Mahama didn't bring e-levy. He didn't bring betting tax. He said he will abolish it. Ghanaians believe him and they trust him. Bawumia, you brought e-levy. Bawumia, you brought betting tax. Now you tell us to vote for you to come and clear the tax you've brought. Why don't you clear it today as you are in office? So clearly it is a lie, but he stole our policy and put in their manifesto. John Mahama says the next NDC government will establish a women's bank. MPP were criticizing this policy. I heard people in their party ranting, lying, criticizing the Women's Bank. Little did they know that Bawumia was about to steal that policy. If you go to the MPP manifesto, they have put what looks like a women bank. Yet they don't even understand how the policy will run. If you want to test Bawumia's, cluelessness on policies, ask him how some of his policies will be run. He can't explain to you because they simply did copy and paste. I can go on and on and on. More than 50 policies they stole from our 2020 manifesto.
The 2024 manifesto of the NPP,
stole
over 50
policies from our 2020 manifesto. If there were time, I'll read all of them. I've already started reading some. I've established $50 million fund to strengthen fintech industry. They've repeated the same thing under page 28 of their manifesto. It was in our 2020 manifesto. 2020, we did not win power. So we will repeat some of our policies because President Mahama still believes that those policies are the panacea to the problems we find ourselves in today. Bawumia, you are in power today and you are stealing our 2020 policies because you are bereft of ideas, because you don't have the solution to our problem, because you've been in power for 8 years and you cannot, solve the problems we find ourselves in. You have rather become the biggest problem to the Ghanaian people in this country. And I have repeatedly said, if corruption and incompetence and lying were a human being, it would have been Alhaji Dr. Bawumia. He fits into all these three spaces, and entirely he has nothing significant to offer to the people of this country. So let's put them aside. Let us always discuss a nation builder. Last time I listened to Bawumia promising one phone, one CD. I looked at him.
Well,
one phone.
They've explained that it was taken out of context, even though he said one CD, two CD.
So Bawumia must now talk for people to come and now see what he says. What is that? When John Mahama speaks, it is once. And that word, in fact, when John Mahama speaks and anybody even attempts explaining it, we tell the person that, please, your explanation is not needed. Repeat what John Mahama has said word for word. Because John Mahama means what he says. And before he says it, he's thought of it and he understands it. Bawumia didn't think about the policy. Because if he thought about it, you would say we'll pay 1 CD, 2 CD. So that if I buy a phone that costs 15,000, I would have been paying for about 100 years. I would have been dead and my children who can't be paying for it. Who even told him that the pressing need of the unemployed youth today is a mobile phone?
Well, he says that's how to advance the digitalization agenda.
I know people who have sold their phones just to start up businesses. I know people who have sold their phones just to feed. I know people as a result of hardship have sold their phones just to pay their school fees. And you come and tell us that our pressing needs are phones. No, sir. Our pressing needs are jobs. The youth of this country need jobs. The last time, one of his ministers again, Chinia, told me I was unemployed. And I said, yes, I will be unemployed because jobs I would have gotten, you, Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and your cartel have awarded those jobs to your family members. And even ministers today are stealing as if there is no tomorrow. Look at the SML deal. How they are siphoning money from our oil corridors. It's been subjected to investigation. That is another deal I have told President Mahama I have an interest in. When we come,
so you have an interest in the National Cathedral?
I have an interest in the National Cathedral. I have an interest in the 10,000 bags of rice Bawumia stole. I have an interest in the $250,000 Bawumia was collecting as appearance fee. I have an interest in how Akufo-Addo ended up in the pocket of Nyantechi and how the pocket of Nyantechi looked like. I have an interest in this particular GRA-SML deal because it's a stinky one. Finally, I have an interest in Pius Enam Hajide transporting fake journalists to Austria. And when a journalist was asked what a recorder is, the person was looking at the recorder and said it is Prekese. That was how they deported all the people. Meanwhile, this particular man had already collected money from them.
But that has been investigated.
And where's the report?
And
where's the report?
He's been exonerated. That's what we are told.
We are told. No report. We did the report. I need to read the report. The day I'll hold the report, I will tell you how much Pius took from the people. The day I hold the report. But 2025, we'll hold the report and the people do it. I have an interest in Sisala is Chinia, who has smuggled fertilizers meant for his people to Burkina Faso, who has awarded contracts, his own Tumu contracts, to his own brother, Bazak Chinia, and they formed a company called Batwa Wese. And his driver, his brother, and himself are all on the company. And they are using it to dupe states' funds. They collected mobilization to construct the roads, and they abandoned it. Next year, by this time, I told Chinia, he will be in prison, his brother will be in prison, and they will even have a driver in prison, because his driver too will join them in prison. Because you cannot siphon this amount of funds. As if that was not enough, state lands in Tumu, he has siphoned everything. All government lands, he has taken all of them. Why? Were you MP to do us good, or you were MP to do us bad? But I know that the good people of Sisala is to vote him out, and after they vote him out, he will cry blood, because next year the youth of this country want accountability. But I've been listening to Gen Zs,
right,
and one of the biggest interests aside development is that the people in leadership must be held accountable. You want accountability. People must be held to the balls. People must account for their wickedness, their selfishness, their incompetence, and people must account for why they decided not to develop the country, but rather to dupe funds and state property. Okujato Ablakwa, I salute him. Almost every week exposes a corrupt deal, to the extent that people have even lost track. Yesterday on a Twitter space, somebody told me that he hopes we have a tracker for the corruption. I said, this my head is not big for nothing. I have every corrupt deal here, and I'll never forget it. When we come into power, I'll be reminding them.
And that's why I want to ask that if you do have all these things that you say point to wrongdoing, why wait till your party gets the
because we are virtually, weak currently to do anything. We are armless. We are toothless. When we attempt anything, they shoot it down. Mr. Akufo-Addo will clear it. Why? When Sputnik V was ballooned from 10 million per vaccine to $10 per vaccine to $19 by the health minister, we exposed it. A committee was set up. The health minister came and admitted guilt. He said he accepts. He wasn't thinking right. There was pressure. If you are corrupt, there's nothing. It has nothing to do with you not thinking right. Too. Whether you are thinking right or you're not. In fact, if you are not even thinking right, it means you are a madman. And if you are a madman, you cannot hold public office. But if you are not thinking right and you are still sane, then you need to be prosecuted for it. Akufo-Addo cleared him, went to his hometown and said, Health Minister, Ghanaians are worrying the health minister too much. Cecilia Dapa, when we found $1 million plus under her bed, in fact, monies that were meant to dredge the Odo Lagoon, $43 million, they squandered it. We found huge sums under her bed. They stole $1 million. It took 6 months for Cecilia Dapa to know that somebody has touched the dollars in his safe. 6 months. Masa, you and I, even if you steal my 10 Ghana cedi today, I will know you have stolen my 10 cedi. Cecilia Dapa, $1 million. She didn't know. 6 months before she realized. In fact, she didn't even detect it. The husband came and caught the maid stealing some money again. That was when he realized that we need to count the money. And they counted it for weeks before they realized that she stole. You can imagine the dollars. Her chains in the CID's report and watches alone were about $1.2 million. Her chains alone can buy 3 houses at East Legon. Her bags and the wig. I've not even seen the wigs she wears because the wigs is like the powers. But then little did we know that the wigs were expensive. The wigs alone were about 300,000 euros. That alone can buy 3 houses at Trasacco. Your wigs alone. Why? Are you a walking gold mine? What kind of wickedness is this? Yet when we caught you, you lied that it was your brother who was a shoemaker that gave you some of the money.
She's provided some justification.
She has not provided anything. The brother's wife
for the amounts that were found.
The brother's wife is suffering.
We know that issue.
It's a lie. The brother's wife is suffering, and the brother's wife said, if indeed my brother gave you this money, then you have been so wicked. Because even what to eat is a problem. So even if you be wicked to Ghanaian people, must you be wicked to even your family? Your family members are suffering, yet you have packed dollars under your bed. Look, that matter, Akufo-Addo wrote a letter and ended it by, my dear Cecilia Dapa, I know you'll be exonerated. I know you are in. Oh, fine. When we come, we will reply that letter and we'll write a letter again to Cecilia Dapa. That is the letter that will put her behind bars. And I've said it and I'll repeat it on any day. So we cannot do much today because we are not in power. And we have a corrupt entity as clearing agent, the mother serpent of corruption as president, and his deputy serpent of corruption as vice president. So we can't do much. But when we come into office and we have a clean nation builder like John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, they will see the true colors of the law. The laws will take effect, and the laws will take its course. And you see, my joy in this matter is that President Mahama says, I will not just crack the whip on only MPP members. I'll crack it on NDC members. Because me, as I sit here, I put my integrity on the line. If we come into office, and you as an NDC minister or CEO or whatever, you decide to siphon state funds, I, Malik Basintale, will be the one to lead you into prosecution. You will go and join the NPP people who are in jail. We are coming into power to work for the country. We are coming to transform the economy. We are coming to reset power. And I will not allow any appointee under President Mahama siphon state funds and embarrass President Mahama. We will protect the legacy of President Mahama, and we know what John Mahama has in stock for the people of this country. Same John Mahama who built Terminal 3 says he will build more for this country. Same John Mahama who built KJTR market says he will build more for this country. Same John Mahama who stabilized the dollar in 2016 says he will stabilize it again. Same John Mahama who stabilized fuel prices says he will stabilize it again. Same John Mahama who reduced unemployment to 7% says he will do it again, and this time even more. This is the John Mahama we know. This is the John Mahama we trust, and we know that he will deliver, and we, the Ghanaian youth, will help John Mahama deliver for the people of this country. Finally, Kojo, you see, the MPP will bring money, and these days they have started sending mumu to people.
Oh, they have?
Yes, they've started. They did it in a.
You know of that?
Yes, they did it in a send-off. Asenoff, they were sharing 200 new notes. Some got 2 million, some got 400 CDs, and they were sharing it. They thought they could win Asenoff. But you see, the MPP supporters must understand that their leaders deceive them. Asenoff, if you see the hotel and the kind of fair people, women who were in the hotel, and the enjoyment the MPP leaders were doing there, you will know that this is not what wins election. So I was surprised that I saw the MPP executives on camera shouting, "We win Asenoff." I said, "Sir, how will you win Asenoff? Is it the disco you people are doing at your hotel that you win?" We went into the trenches. We worked tirelessly under the leadership of our national chairman, Johnson Asedo Ketia. We worked with our hearts and we delivered Asenoff. That is how we deliver power. I've heard people in the MPP say they will never hand over power. I repeat this here, humbly. Power is in your hands, MPP. We agree. But on the 6th of December, power will go back to into the hands of the Ghanaian people. On the 7th, you, the Ghanaian people, will decide who to give power to. We are praying that you give power to John Mahama. I will promise you that in the name of God Almighty, we will protect the power you give to us. Ignore those rants. Those same people attempted stealing our hotels. We just pushed them small. They ran away and left our hotels. Not to talk of power. On the 7th, Ghanaians should give us power. And we promise we'll protect the power they've given to us. They will share money. The kicks of a dying horse are stronger than when it was alive. People who slaughter goats, they'll tell you that before you kill the fowl or goat, the kind of energy it exerts is usually huge. But you need endurance, you need persistence, you need determination. And when you keep hitting where you are hitting, they'll finally hand over. We know they'll bring money, they'll bribe the youth. I will encourage every young person. If you don't have a Momo account, go and open a Momo account. Because this time, they said they'll be sending the money through Momo. MPP have gotten enough funds and they'll share it.
So people should take the money?
Collect the money.
Isn't it also now glorifying monetization?
No, it doesn't matter.
And the challenges thereof, you see, and why we find ourselves where we are currently?
Whether we like it or not, MPP will share money. Even though they will account for it when we come into office. But they will share money. So if you are a young boy listening to me or a young girl, open a Momo account. Open a bank account. When they call you and say they want to send the money, collect it. Because it is your taxes. It is your money.
And the NDC will not be sharing money?
It is your debt.
The NDC will not be also trying to...
Even, let me be honest with you.
Right.
Let me confess here. Even buying fuel to travel and campaign is headache to us. Even buying petrol. I'm being blunt. I mean, this is a bit embarrassing. But I want you to know that even buying petrol into our cars to travel around the country and campaign, sometimes we do lala-sulala. You know lala-sulala? We contribute small in order to buy fuel. So we don't even have the money to give. What we have is the goodwill of President Mahama and a good message to give to Ghanaian people. And we have the future of this country in the hands of John Mahama. That is all we are campaigning with. And in the name of God Almighty, we will succeed. The MPP will come with money. They've come with lies, it has failed. They came with accusations against President Mahama, it has failed. The last straw they are holding on to is to come with money. When they bring the money, collect the money. Because Bawumia was borrowing 780 billion, all in the name of Ghanaian youth. When they bring that money, collect it. Chop the money and go and vote against this incompetent, clueless, inept, family and friends, condemned pair of Bawumia and Napo. And let's vote for the nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman.
So on Saturday, Central Region is coming alive.
That's right.
We are going to see the launch of the manifesto.
Yes.
And I've heard reasons why the NDC, some people believe that Central Region is where the message of hope from the NDC to the people of Ghana should be delivered.
Yes, we'll launch our manifesto in Winneba on Saturday the 24th. All those who have received invites should come there. If you've not received an invite, please don't stress yourself coming to Winneba. Stay in your house. You will watch it on TV and listen attentively. We want to give Ghanaians that opportunity to listen to our manifesto. Listen to what President Mahama will be saying. The last time we met journalists, you saw how President Mahama answered the questions of journalists. A fantastic man. He knows what he's done. He's proud of his record, and he knows what he wants to do for the people of this country. He professed solution. Saturday we are going to deliver the future of this country to the people of Ghana. We are going to show you how 2025 to 2028 in this country, how Ghana is going to look like from 2025 to 2028. We're going to show you how Ghana is going to be resetted and how Ghana is going to be transformed into a better country under John Mahama. We'll prove to you, we'll explain our policies, and we'll tell you how all those policies are going to be implemented. Saturday would win the trust of the Ghanaian people. Saturday, Ghanaians will have confidence in the NDC, and Ghanaians will know that the only party that means well for this particular country is the National Democratic Congress under John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. So stay attentive. I won't take the win out of the sale. I would allow us to get to Saturday. May God grant us long life. And I have said that after all is said and done, on the 9th of January, after the swearing in of John Mahama on the 7th of January, inshallah, and by the will of the Ghanaian people, on the 7th of January 2025, on the 9th, Ghanaians will naturally be issued a certificate of survival. Surviving 8 years under this government has not been easy for all of us. It has been cruel, it has been a mixed feeling, and I know many people have even had suicidal thoughts. But please calm down. You've survived 7.8 months. The remaining months are just few. The time is coming where you become bright again. To the youth out there, I know many of you sometimes feel irresponsible. It is not your fault. All of us sometimes at some point feel irresponsible. We feel that we could have done a lot. We feel that we should be where we are not today. But it is not our fault. Don't be hard on yourself. It is because Bawumia and Akufo-Addo have given jobs to their family members. It is because Bawumia and Akufo-Addo are implementing an Ejapadia document that seeks to will the resources of this country to their family members.
Yeah, well, because they say you are the ones who brought that book out.
Don't worry. And because you and I are not descendants of Kuntun Kununku, you and I are not descendants of Oforipenye, you and I are not descendants of JB Dankwa, you and I are not part of the Nanado family cartel and the Achem mafias that they have infused Bawumia in, we will not benefit from it. Calm down, relax, take a deep breath, and remember that better days are coming. And when John Mahama becomes president, would once again become the responsible man and the responsible youth we always aspired to become. And we'll get that future, Kojo. You and I will get that future and that prosperity that we always wanted to do. And to make Mama proud that we as young people did not fail them in this country. That can only be delivered under John Dramani Mahama as president.
Right.